Welcome to the Diverse Discovery Podcast. This is a show about relationships told from the perspective of individuals from all over the world. Sit back and enjoy and listen to what they share, and hopefully we'll learn a little bit along the way. Welcome again to another amazing show. Today we have Amanda, and I will let Amanda introduce herself. We are going to have a lot of things to talk about today, and I'm sure she'll bring an interesting perspective. So welcome to the show, Amanda.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. This is a great podcast for me because it's going to be about topics that I've never had the opportunity to speak about. So thank you.
Okay. So what are some of the things you're up to lately? Tell us a little bit about your background and your interests and things that are happening in your life right now.
Yeah, of course. So for me, I have been doing criminal defense for the last 12 years. That was my career straight out of college. And just so happened in the last 3 years, I decided to go into modeling. And just recently in the last year, I went into acting. So kind of a little shift, but I still do both. I am still a litigation paralegal and really starting to kick up my career in acting around here in the Seattle scene.
Okay. That seems like a huge shift. So what transpired or what happened to influence that shift of, I guess it's not a shift if you're still doing, the thing that you're educated for also,
Yeah.
But what prompted the transition?
Well, COVID kind of prompted a whole shift in my life. I ended up getting a divorce from my high school sweetheart, and that allowed a lot of reflection time being alone. I ended up meeting some people that encouraged me to compete for the Miss Washington USA pageant. Okay. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? Why not? Why not open some new doors, see what God has for me? And I ended up placing top semifinalist. It opened a lot of doors in modeling, and that's kind of where I was like, you know what? I don't have to be just a paralegal. I can do something else that is a little bit more fun, and I don't have to sit there and stress all the time and let my creative spirit out.
Yeah. So, wow, that's a pretty interesting fact about you. Then you got into that. So what were some of the things that were going on during COVID?
Well, just a couple months before COVID hit, I ended up losing a really good friend of mine in a terrible accident. And I think that just made me really shift my mentality and perspective about life. She was only 33 years old, and she was just this ball of energy and joyful every time I saw her. And to see that life could end so quickly, it just put things into perspective of, okay, well, what if I were to die tomorrow? Would I really be happy with the life that I had lived up to that point? And at that time, I honestly looked at it, I was like, no. I was so unhappy in my relationship and just within myself. And I think COVID, being stuck in the house, it kind of just accelerated everything.
So, yeah, that's an extremely profound experience that you went through. So I'm glad to see you here today, and you kept on moving forward, and you talk about a new relationship also. But with the old relationship, did you find that was part of what maybe influenced you thinking about separating, or how did that influence the relationship, the accident, the tragedy, the grief and loss?
Well, I can say, when you're 17 years old, you think you know everything, right? You think you are queen of the world, you know everything. Your parents are they're just too old school. But at that time, I thought that this is the type of person that I want for my future, even though I had all the red flags there. And as you grow, as you mature, I went through my 20s, noticing that I really didn't like this person who I was becoming, and then also who I was with. And I just remember waking up one day and looking at this person because he was still sleeping. And I was like, I don't know if I even want to be this person's friend had it not been in a relationship. So it just made me rethink what I really wanted. Do I want to have a child with this person? How far do I see this person in my future? What are we building together? And I don't think that had meshed so well. And I think it was just honestly time, when I had all that time alone in COVID, to reflect on what's going to be best for me and why am I really in this.
Would you say when you were younger, you didn't have the maturity to see the qualities that you were looking for? Or would you say you just hoped that you would grow together? Or what were your thoughts because you were so young when you entered the relationship?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think a lot of your relationships, the success of it really depends on the stuff that you either healed or didn't heal from in your childhood, right? So what I noticed is that I didn't have a lot of affection and love for my family. So what did I do? I gave it to anyone who would just give me attention and give me love. And I thought that that was love. Even if it was really hard struggle love and it was just not healthy love and toxic, I thought that if you stuck around long enough, like, my worth was there. And I didn't understand that when I was younger, but as you grow older, as you meet more people, as you see other couples as examples, you start to understand, hey, these are the things that you should really be looking for in your future partner, in the person you want to call the mother or father of your child, and someone that you want to build with. And it wasn't until I went through enough dating to understand, okay, my wants and needs in a person are so different. And eventually, when I spent enough time alone, I got closer in my faith with God. And that really allowed me to just prioritize that I really want a Christian man. I have certain values that I've built up until this day that I never got to when I was younger. So that kind of set the foundation.
Okay. And we're definitely going to jump into the aspect of the Christian man. And I'm going to pick your brain on that one. But I also want to cover some other things that you shared because it has been a common theme that people have talked about childhood trauma. And so that's one of the interesting things that I get to experience by talking to so many people, is that I get to see a common denominator in many of them that are, quite similar, that
Right.
if people understood, or someone taught them or helped them through it during their most pivotal times, then maybe they would overcome some things that would actually be detrimental to them later in life.
For sure.
So did you see your relationship, you said you were in it for 13 years?
12 years, yeah.
12 years. Did you see it as more of a roller coaster the whole 13 years, or did you see it as just red flags start to slowly come up, and you would see those things and you process what you wanted? Was it dramatic situations, or was it something specifically that you put your finger on that you say, this was a huge transition for me?
Honestly, it was, one, when you start off as teenagers, it's that highs and lows, and it's just a circle of you're so in love, and then all of a sudden you fight, and then it's like so terrible, and you want to break up, and you're like, no, but I love you. And it's just, everyone goes through that in the beginning if you're just focused on your emotions and your feelings, versus why are we dating in the first place? And I think as you mature and you age, you start to understand that feelings will always come and go, but what is your real foundation and what's going to keep you in this relationship and keep it healthy? So there's a lot of things that transpired in that relationship with my ex, and I felt like it was just a cycle of toxicity. We would be so in love and then so not in love, and it was just like that for the whole way. But eventually, when we became better economically, I think that took a lot of the stressors off.
Mm.
And so it did give us a little bit of this calm plateau of like, oh, we're so in love, we're so happy. And but then eventually that honeymoon wears off again. And then you're kind of just settling. And that's what I felt like I was doing.
Mm.
And I didn't want to pass away like my friend did without having a full inventory of, do I want this for myself?
Mm. So do you believe it was a mutual breakup, or did one of you make more of an attempt to make it work, or towards the end, what did it look like for you?
I think towards the end, I was seeking a lot of attention from this person that wasn't emotionally available for me.
Mm-hmm.
And in turn, that led me to be just kind of absent. And then that respect was kind of lost for the relationship for the both of us. You know, he didn't want to spend his time with me. I didn't want to spend my time with him. And it just really seemed like we were just putting on a show. And eventually I got to the point where I realized I really don't like this person, but I wanted to keep trying because that's the type of person that I am. I'm so loyal to a fault that I want to stick things out and stick things through to see what happens. Is it going to be successful? Because in my mind, as a child, I learned that the harder I work, the more successful I am. I did that in school, right? So I had that same mentality, which was really toxic for a relationship. And that's why a lot of women nowadays kind of just stay, even in something that they shouldn't be and they should have left a long time ago. Mm. And that was the realization that I made.
And I think that's an important point that a lot of people struggle with deciding to leave. Mm-hmm. You know, what is it going to take to make that decision to leave? And it's easy also, I believe, like when you're in a relationship and everyone knows about that relationship, mm-hmm. and you have family and friends, and sometimes we can carry ourselves in front of everyone else and they never really see what's behind closed doors. I had a woman, she was telling me about her relationship, and you from the outside looking in, you would think that they have, you know, they go places together, they do things together, they go to events. And she said that at home, they don't even sleep in the same bed.
Oh my gosh.
Their shifts, you know, their jobs don't align, so they never really even have to speak to each other within the home. And it was interesting because I thought, wow, that a lot of years. She mentioned how many years it was, and it was a lot of years that had transpired. So when you share your situation, I'm thinking about especially for men, do we sometimes take actions where we know the end result is that person that we're with, they'll make the decision for us because we have not made the decision. But on the other hand, we'll just stay, you know, right. It doesn't matter. We'll just stick around if nobody else is going to make the decision. Sometimes just the comfort of being their companionship, having that person by us is enough to hold on for men in some pretty miserable circumstances, you know, because some people would say that, you know, the dynamics where, and it's not always 100%, of course, but men tend to be more factual about the circumstances. Mm-hmm. And often people will say women are more emotional about the situation and circumstances. So we can just kind of stick to the facts and wait till the woman gets our attention with the emotions. So tell me about this transition, because you mentioned, and I never know, you know, I spoke to you for less than 30 minutes before I met with you, before I'm meeting with you now. And you were pretty adamant about the transition to this how do you define it? Like, is it a Christian relationship, or how could you describe what it is now
Yeah, of
like
course.
for you?
For me, I think I look at it as like God-centered. When you center everything around God, that's internal for you, but then also for the relationship too. Because one thing that I've learned is that in a relationship, we're always going to feel some type of emotion, but emotions fluctuate. And sometimes it's going to be good, sometimes it's going to be bad, but what's going to hold you together? And I think that the stability that you can get in keeping God at the center, it helps you be kinder, it helps you be more patient, it helps you be more understanding, and that the relationship resolves around the goal of what you guys are doing for each other and like building this life together versus wanting to win an argument or fulfilling your ego. You see what I mean? Like in a relationship, when you are praying together, when it's not about you, you're being more selfless. And so that in turn just makes you a better partner, to be honest. Because I think nowadays in modern dating, women are all about me, me, me. What is this guy going to get for me? You know, what is he going to buy me? What vacation is he going to get me? Like what bag, handbag, like all these things. And then for men, it's, well, what are you going to bring to the table? Are you going to cook, clean? Are you going to do this for me? Are you going to, spread your legs for me? Like all of these crazy things. And everyone has so much expectations. And when you have two people coming into a relationship with expectations rather than a goal, a similar goal, like you're not going to be able to build, because at the same time you're always just, it's kind of like transactional in a way, and you can't do that. And like I said, when you become more patient, when you become more kind and more understanding, and know that your partner are going to have their moments of weakness, and that's where you have to be empathetic and compassionate with them. And through that compassion and through that love is how you heal the other person and what they're going through. And if you're just constantly like, well, why aren't you like this? Why aren't you doing this for me? It's never going to work.
So would you say in your circumstance, was it more of keeping your eyes open for this God-centered person, or do many people will say that fate just happened and I found this person or ran into them, but some people will say like you have to know what you're looking for to begin with before you can find it. So how did that happen for you, your circumstances?
Yeah, honestly, that's so true. Because if you don't know who you are in your core, you are going to be swayed by every man or woman that you meet. And you're going to start adapting to this other person rather than being who you are and seeing if that person loves you for you. So for me, I dated for a couple years, and I met my array of men, and I started to realize, one, sleeping around is not fun. It is the worst thing that you can do for yourself, because you're giving yourself to people that don't really care about you. You are giving them the most vulnerable part of yourself. And now I'm understanding why, your parents talk about like, don't sleep with people when you're young and wait until you're married. I get that it's harder to do nowadays because it's so normalized, right? But I think sex and intimacy really ruins the quality of a relationship if you're not married. It gets you so emotionally invested when it shouldn't be. Like, it shouldn't even be there yet. You should be working on your communication. You should be working on your emotional healing, connecting. How else can you connect with this person and feel intimacy with them without, doing the stuff, Yeah. I think that to me, I feel like just dating nowadays has just been more of a transaction. And people are dating just for fun and seeing where it's going, instead of what I think when I look at a God-centered relationship is you are dating to marry, dating to build, and have children. Like, that's what I want to do. And I think that that's a lot of things that most people want to do, right?
Yeah. When you're sharing, I get a sense that you truly understand how challenging it is, based on the social pressures that are out there. And sometimes I'm wondering, do people just go along with what other people are saying, or is that, do they have their own true values and believe what they're doing is right or wrong or best or not good for them?
Yeah.
So I'm basically saying it almost sounds foreign, what you're sharing in this day and age. So I'm wondering, how do we get to a place where, especially if we've lived our lifestyle, where we've kind of, if it feels good, do it kind of thing.
Yeah.
How do we get to the self-discipline, the restraint, the patience, all of those things that it takes to get where you're saying you are? How do we get there?
That's a great question, because I only got there because of my walk with God. Being in the Word, understanding my worth in Jesus, completely stripped away what modern society was telling me how to, build my self-worth and my confidence. It gave me certain values that, like, hey, this is what a home should look like. This is how men should look like. This is how a husband should take care of a wife. And this is what a wife should do for a husband. And those were the principles that I truly understood, like, hey, this is foundational. Everything else that we learn on TikTok and Instagram and social media, a lot of it is just grounded in whatever is going to get the most clicks. Mm. Are these values that they're really putting out there actually working in the home? And I think relationships worked, or I should say were a little bit more successful back then than how they are now, is that we feel more inept to our choices. There's so many choices.
So if we're a non-believer, is there a place we can start? What can we do to just even begin that walk, or see if it's something that's for us?
Yeah, I mean, again, and everything that I'm speaking now is just based off of my experience. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a different lived experience than I do. And so maybe their walk in their dating life is going to work the same way as mine, or it's not. So I don't want to make this pressure of like, oh, you need it to be God-centered in order for you to have a successful relationship. What I'm seeing is that I was in a relationship where there was no God, and then I'm seeing a relationship where there is God. And I feel so much more fulfilled in the one that is God-centered. And I think at the end of the day, what you should do before you even start dating is taking inventory of your traumas. What are the things that you were missing as a child? Because the things that you were missing back then are what you're going to be so inclined to look for in your next partner. And then that can also create like this tunnel vision of looking at that solely and then forgetting everything else that really is important for a relationship. Like I said earlier, a lot of people look at their wants versus understanding their needs are just as important, if not actually more important. And once you find out how to heal for yourself, you'll be able to be more patient when you meet someone and they're going through some things too. And you can kind of see like, okay, we both have to work on this together. Because you can think that you're healed all you want alone, but when you're with another person, that's when the lessons that you've learned come into practice.
Yeah, I was thinking, when the pressure shows up, you know, how we behave when the pressure shows up. And the trauma, oftentimes, it's like an emptiness or a hole, and we're attempting to fill that void and what we fill it with. And, you know, I like that you shared the perspective that you're not seeking to get someone to walk your walk or say that what you did or you doing will work for them.
Yeah.
But I do believe that, you know, a lot of people will hear this and they'll say, you know, I'm not even going in that direction at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I do when I'm talking to people is emphasize, well, where's the starting point for me? Because I believe truly, you know, for one thing, we don't know what's truly in someone else's heart, you know. So if we're seeking someone, we don't really truly know their motives. So even if it looks good from the outside, it doesn't mean that it's going to work out. But I do believe, you know, if people seek long enough, having the patience to seek out something differently and change, you know, I do believe that's a big part. And it reminds me, I believe if we present things when we're sharing them to others in a certain way and then allow them to develop that based on whatever their concept is of, you know, God, higher power, it's a starting point, even if it's not where they want to be ultimately. I believe it's a starting point to help them get there.
I think it's just the reason why I look at, you know, my faith so much when it comes to relationships is because it really gives you principles to go off of. If a person doesn't have something that they look up to, well, what's going to base their decision making in the relationship? How will they treat you as, you know, the partner? How are they going to treat you as a mother or father? How are they going to raise your kids? How are they going to treat the rest of your family? How are they going to deal with stress when it comes in life? Because all of those things happen. And if you have someone that just goes off of their emotions or doesn't have like a compass that guides them, they can be kind of, you know, chaotic for you in your life. So for women, I mean, for me, I want someone that is solid. I want someone that's going to be grounded in the events of life. Even when like I'm feeling emotional, I want someone to be there as a rock and hold me down and tell me like it's going to be okay and just not sway.
Yeah, I was smiling because the principles are a key word, because there's a difference between being able to quote something or being able to do something, even put it into practice if you don't know the reason behind it. So and I've met probably 5 women in a row and they could bam, 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 they could put that out there, what they were looking for and what those principles were. And I'm wondering, do we need to challenge each other more as a couple? So if we're in a relationship, actually sitting down to be able to do that, is that something that has come up in your relationship, or do you just have conversations about it, or how do we get there, a meeting of the minds, so to speak?
Of course. Like I said, you just because you think that you're healed or whether you're not healed going into a relationship, you are always working with that other person because their lived experience is going to have a different perspective on how they show up in a situation. So for me in my relationship, you know, the moment we both got baptized, like our first year was great. And the moment we got baptized, that was when our relationship was really tested. And it was just so interesting because I'm like, why are we getting into all of these fights? Like, these never happened. But I think that iron sharpens iron. I have someone that is looking at my weak points And I can also point out his and let him know, like, hey, this is a problem that we have to solve together. Bringing up constructive criticism should never be something that is of an argument. I know that sometimes I work in criminal defense, so I'm a little bit more sharper on the tongue. And so he tells me, like, hey, you have to be a little bit more softer sometimes. And I'm like, okay, you're right. And so it has helped me reflect on myself of, yeah, what areas can I be better at too? I'm not going into this relationship thinking that I am the whole table, you know? It's a life lesson that you learn with someone and how to show up better as a partner. And if you can't have hard conversations to say, like, hey, something that you're doing is bothering me, and having the other person look back and be like, oh, thank you for pointing that out. Like, I love you. I want to work on this for you, and I want us to be happy. So it's all about compromising.
Yeah. And when you were saying after you were baptized how these things came up for you, I immediately go to, like, you getting tried by the fire now and stuff. So, and that's the way that life seems to happen at times for us. And I believe that our trials and being able to overcome them together, it gives us that strength to be able to be better grounded, have a better foundation later in the future. And even when you were talking about the qualities of love in a roundabout way, you know, I was thinking about making sure the same thing as principles, making sure that we know what those characteristics are. And I think that's something that as couples, it can be done pretty easily, just sitting down certain things. Hey, you write your list, I'm going to write my list. What are the qualities of love? And if it's something, for me, those qualities can be something that I can just spout out. So then if I can just spout those out, well, having someone to challenge me and say, like, well, you're not really exhibiting those qualities, because I've also worked in the field with, you know, criminogenics for quite some time also. So just the way, especially if you're in the trenches, just the way that it could mold your conversations and your interactions with others. If the other person, whether it's family, friends, anyone that you have a relationship with, if they're not able to help you to see those blind spots, it's going to be a lot more difficult in being able to come out of those situations and still move forward and grow from them.
That's true.
You know, because all it takes is that little seed to be planted of destruction within the relationships, and relationship. It goes back to whatever is nurtured is going to grow. So what's next for you in relationship wise, or what's the growing experience or learning experience or goal that you're looking to achieve in the next steps of cultivating your relationship?
Yeah, I mean, my ultimate goal is have that traditional family, get married, have kids, build a legacy or something with my partner, you know. And I wanted to go back to what you had said earlier too about not being able to help each other in a relationship to grow, because a lot of the time that I had spent in my last long-term relationship was spent just trucking along, partying, traveling, just looking to the next thing. And we didn't really talk a lot about emotional things with each other. And I think that is a pattern that a lot of relationships nowadays go through, because you're just, like you said earlier, we're just traveling, we're just, you know, having nice dinners, doing all the things with your partner, but not really building. So it's not a lot of valuable time that you're spending. It's just fun time, which isn't bad. Like, you can have that in a relationship, but you have to also build too.
Well, I was going to say, well, you're crushing my dreams now. Just like go, travel, have fun. But also, again, I think a fundamental piece to that is the male-female dynamics on it. If you ever try to sit a man down and want to have certain conversations or topics, for most men, it's going to be challenging. And again, I believe that social media has not made it any easier because everything is, fast, quick, and in a hurry. So,
For sure.
yeah. So what else? What are your other goals then now?
Right now, I'm honestly just focusing on my acting career. I just got signed with my second agent and getting that ball rolling, trying to do more commercial work. I'm sharpening my skills. I'm taking more workshops and classes, and I'm really enjoying letting my creative spirit out. I've always been a creative since I was a kid, and I think growing up, I was taught that what you got to do is finish high school, go to college, get a job, get a retirement. I did all that, and great. I checked off boxes and I have a resume of doing that, but did that really fulfill me? No. The only thing that it filled was just my ego. And now I get to live a life that is truly authentic for me, that is really enjoyable. I get to have conversations like this. But the most important thing that I really want to be able to do in the space that I have now is talk to other women and show them that, like, look, I grew up in a small little town. I wasn't anybody, but I really had to build myself up and I had to be my own cheerleader. And it showed me that the moment that I just tried and gave it a shot, life started to look different. Things that were so big, like my dreams that were so big, wasn't actually that big anymore. I think a lot of women and men as well hold back because you're told to do these things in life because that's what you're expected to do. And a lot of the times, no one chases after their dreams. When people hear that I'm going into acting and modeling, they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And even when I competed for Miss Washington, that was one of the biggest things. They were so confused. Like, they were happy. I mean, some of them were happy, but they're like, Amanda, you're not poised. You're not tall. What are you doing? And to me, I was like, okay, well, just because that may seem a little bit out of the norm for you, I truly believe in myself. Right. And I showed up fully, and I still made top 15 for never doing anything like this before in my life. So it just reminded me that anything really is possible if you just put your heart and your effort into it, and you just take that little step. And sometimes a little step is big. I understand that. But the moment that you can get rid of that fear, I'm telling you, it will change your life. The same way when I left that marriage, that was scary because I was leaving with just a couple of boxes and a used couch that my friend gave me. I had bought this beautiful home with my ex. I felt like I had everything going for me, a good career, a nice car, a house, a dog. Like, I had like the picture perfect thing that most people wanted in their 20s. And I had to start over from scratch. A 1-bedroom apartment that I had to ask to stay in from a coworker, a friend. And within just 9 months, I was able to get myself into a new condo and build myself back up and do all the things, fix my house up myself. And I just showed myself that, look, I can really do things, and it can be really scary. When you're going to do something for the first time, you shouldn't expect it to be perfect. You are supposed to fail sometimes because that's how you learn and become better. And for me, just trying was enough to show me that anything is really possible.
Yeah. So I'm glad you shared those aspects of your transition. And, when I looked at your resume, I'm sure you look at it now from time to time, and it's just like everything is it's blossom. It's
Yeah.
everything is growing, and I believe you have amazing things on the horizon. You've already, in the last couple of years, have done so much, and I've definitely appreciated our conversation today. And when I saw your information and trying to think of what you call it, but it was almost like a test scene that you did, and you were showing it was a toxic relationship where you were taking the phone from the man.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, this is the exact topic that I want to head for. But you've shared, like I always give guests the opportunity to do, is share what is important to you. And I think the people that are going through those difficult situations, especially a lot of toxic things, and I can continue to hear people continuously share some things with me, and they're pretty unbelievable. I'm like, this is something you would watch on TV, but I'm sure that also from working in the criminal aspects of things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that's the same way. Things that never make the news, people never hear about. These are the things that are happening to people in their daily lives. So I want to give you an opportunity to share, like, Instagram, where people can find you, things that you're doing. So if people want to connect with you or collaborate with you, how do we go about doing that?
Yeah, it's funny you bring up that, because it was my demo reel for my short film.
Demo reel, that's exactly what
and
I was
it was my
talking about.
very first time acting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, the movie's called Battle of Love. It's a short film, and it's about a girlfriend finding out that her long-term boyfriend of like 20 years was cheating on her with a coworker.
Mm-hmm.
And it is now becoming a full feature film. And it's called Where the Road Ends. Mm-hmm. We are doing a big trailer release party on August 2nd at the Sam's Tavern in Seattle. So if you ever want to come and check that movie out, please do. But I can be found on Instagram at Amanda Huang Official, or you can follow my pageant page, which is Miss Bellevue USA. But I do have a website launching on July 28th, and it'll be amandahuangofficial.com. So stay tuned for that, and you'll get to know a little bit more about me and my background, my acting, my modeling, and just all the things that I do.
Okay. Well, we expect big things out of you. And again, we'll continue to shine and show people things. So hopefully we'll have you be a part of something in the future. So
I'd love that. Okay. That'd be so fun.
All right. So thanks for joining us again. And we hope
you.
to hear from you again soon.